9th WNBA Finals. Exciting night here in Las Vegas as the Aces prepare to take on the Phoenix Mercury in the first ever best-of-7 final series.
What if I suggested that the greatest peril facing the WNBA isn't a shortage of corporate backing, some bitter locker room feud, or a volatile media environment, but rather a single squad becoming so undeniably dominant that it has the head office descending into total madness? For decades, the organization has carefully managed its draft system, financial ceiling limitations, and signing protocols to ensure that elite players are distributed throughout the nation, desperately striving to maintain a fragile equilibrium of competitive parity, so every club has a genuine shot at drawing fans and winning rings. The league was founded on the fundamental principle that no individual market should ever eclipse the rest, keeping broadcasting networks and local investors perfectly content. But the second Caitlin Clark arrived in Indianapolis, wearing that fever jersey, that precarious architecture began to spectacularly disintegrate. Currently, fierce rumors of a massive power shift are rattling the basketball world, with reports suggesting veteran Sophie Cunningham and rising star Lexie Hull are uniting to form a devastating, unstoppable super team alongside Clark. This isn't just some fun online fantasy for basketball fans to argue about. We are witnessing a tangible, strategically planned player revolt that has reportedly sent WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert into a secret behind-the-scenes meltdown. Front office leaders are sitting in their boardrooms watching their ultimate catastrophe play out before their very eyes. They are realizing too late that they've surrendered the spotlight, their authority, and the very destiny of their league. Yet, that is merely the surface. The gritty details of how this powerhouse is forming uncover a cutthroat, hidden world of league maneuvering that was never meant for public consumption. To truly grasp why the top executives are losing their absolute minds over this rapidly evolving situation, one must examine the irresistible, almost gravitational attraction surrounding the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. When Clark joined the Indiana Fever, every person with a pulse recognized she would move tickets and attract a flood of fresh eyes to the screen. But those in the ivory tower failed to foresee the massive mental transformation she would spark within her fellow competitors. Instantly, the Indiana Fever transformed from a struggling basement dweller in a vacant arena into the most desired, highly watched spot in the entire world of professional women's sports. Stars across the map started running the numbers, seeing that catching Clark's dimes meant more than just playing for packed, roaring audiences. It represented a path to massive, life-altering wealth that could last for generations. In a professional league where standard pay has been notoriously low and athletes often flee abroad to survive, the genuine, bank-breaking capital is found in major endorsements, corporate deals, and high-paying brand partnerships. Presently, no spotlight in American athletics burns brighter or more intensely than the one beaming over Indianapolis. Aligning yourself with Clark's massive, inescapable gravity ensures your image hits every screen nearly every time you step foot on that hardwood. It guarantees that global corporations will recognize your brand and that your digital footprint will explode, turning you from a niche pro into a household name overnight. This revolutionary leverage has flipped the entire logic of roster building upside down, meaning athletes no longer care about local weather, city perks, or a team's historical pedigree. They are solely focused on boarding the most profitable, high-speed projectile the game has ever seen. And the following events would leave the world stunned as this new force began pulling in the perfect ingredients for an unstoppable dynasty. The groundwork for this inevitable empire was subtly yet masterfully established by the spectacular rise of Lexie Hull. In the early, quiet chapters of her career, Hull was viewed as a solid, incredibly reliable asset. But she wasn't exactly making waves or haunting the dreams of opposing coaches. That whole story flipped the instant she joined forces with Clark on Indiana's high-octane squad. The hardwood connection between the two was essentially instantaneous, obvious, and pure nightmare fuel for defenders who could not figure out how to stop both stars simultaneously. Hull possessed a natural instinct for timing the frantic, lightning-fast scoring rhythm that Clark always demands, expertly hunting for vacant, unguarded spots and punishing any defense that attempted to trap the rookie phenom. Yet their powerful bond reached far beyond the arena floor and the tactical diagrams of the head coach. These two teammates grew to be shadows of each other away from the gym, owning every social feed with their funny golf vlogs, trending dances, and that natural, down-to-earth vibe fans adore. This was no manufactured marketing campaign cooked up in some boring corporate boardroom. It felt real, a true-to-life sisterhood that softened the jagged edges of the relentless stress found in pro athletics. Supporters lived for every moment of their dynamic, transforming Hull into a famous face while screaming to the whole WNBA that Indy offered much more than just a big check. It was pure, heart-filling joy. Historically, the league suffered under shadows of fractured team cultures, hostile veteran egos, and soul-crushing seasons that left athletes feeling drained and unhappy. This duo stepped up as a glowing, compelling vision of a fresh era where teammates lift each other up while absolutely crushing their rivals on the court. Their infectious optimism acted as a bright flare, telling weary vets trapped in messy franchises that a hoops utopia actually exists in the heartland. However, this ideal, winning atmosphere lacked a single fierce ingredient required to finally shatter the competition's resolve. Despite their scoring magic, the harsh truth of the rookie's first year revealed a gap the Fever had to plug. During her chaotic, spotlight-heavy debut season, Caitlin faced a violent, punishing welcome from bitter veterans eager to push her to the edge and crush her confidence. She absorbed heavy hits, rib-cracking blindside picks, and non-stop insults, while rarely seeing a teammate jump in to strike back. Indiana was a fresh, gifted, and elite group, yet they lacked the mean, dirty toughness needed to survive the bloody battles of postseason play. Soon, rivals saw they could manhandle the star kid without paying any price at the hands of her teammates. The executives downtown ignored the blatant hunting of the star, sparking fury among supporters who saw their icon being thrown to the wolves by spiteful competitors. Management realized their flashy style meant nothing if their franchise centerpiece was always being bruised, bloodied, and leveled by bullies from the sky and Sunday. They did not just need a bucket getter, but a heavy who would embrace the gritty task of shielding the team's most precious on-court investment. They required a true bodyguard, a figure whose very shadow would stop a rival from throwing a dirty elbow or a dangerous pick. Just as the hunt for this muscle began, a huge chance emerged from the blistering Arizona sun. Welcome the bold, fire-breathing Sophie Cunningham to the conversation. If Caitlin is the brilliant mastermind behind the scoring and Lexie plays the tireless, laser-focused, dependable sidekick, then Sophie is the brutal hammer that Indy has been dying to find. Enduring the mess and instability of the Mercury, Cunningham possesses the scary, stone-cold grit that the Fever are missing. She has dedicated seasons to crafting a feared reputation for her explosive personality. She possesses a reckless abandon, diving headlong for every loose ball. Her stubborn defiance ensures she never flinches, regardless of an opponent's physical stature or veteran status. Whispers are reaching a fever pitch that Cunningham is completely drained by the losing cycles, the revolving door of leadership, and the toxic Phoenix drama, making her eye Indiana's booming market as a career-defining escape. The prospect of her bringing that elite, high-volume perimeter shooting and a nasty defensive edge to a core featuring Clark and Boston makes rival coaches sick. She wouldn't just be adding crucial points or stretching the floor. She would effectively become Clark's personal enforcer, ensuring no one in the league ever dares take a cheap shot at the franchise star again. If an opponent even considers shoving Clark on a fast break, Cunningham would be right in their face, ready to escalate and fiercely defend her teammate. The vision of this specific trio together has sent the fanbase into an absolute state of delirium. They envision a super team blending beautiful offensive flow with terrifying, unapologetic grit. But this dream, for the fans, is rapidly becoming a suffocating nightmare for the power brokers running the league. Behind the heavy, polished doors of the league's New York City headquarters, the reaction to this brewing super team has been nothing short of a total internal meltdown. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and her circle of elite executives are reportedly fuming over the massive power shift this specific roster would create overnight. The entire business model relies on the foundation of competitive parity, intentionally spreading star power across different, high-value markets like Los Angeles and Las Vegas to keep the television networks satisfied. If a small-market Indiana team manages to hoard Clark and Boston, Hull, and a marketable vet like Cunningham, they will effectively hijack the league's entire entertainment value. Networks like ESPN and Amazon will demand every Indiana game be shown in a prime-time national slot, leaving the other 11 franchises to fight for scraps on obscure streaming platforms that nobody can find. Kathy has spent her tenure trying to prove the league has depth, pushing the narrative that talent is spread throughout the entire system, not just concentrated in one city, but she is now fighting the reality that the public only cares about one massive storyline. If the Fever transform into an untouchable, dominant force, the league becomes a one-team show, the basketball equivalent of a circus act where everyone else just loses. This grim prospect has led to tense, heated, secret meetings where panicked officials are looking for any legal loophole to stop this momentum, trying to find ways to keep star players stuck in their less popular markets. But the commissioner is learning the hard way that 操作, you cannot pass a law against human nature or the magnetic pull of becoming a global icon. Yet the panic wasn't just about strategy or television ratings. It was rooted in the raw, unfiltered rage of the other team owners. A dark, poisonous resentment is brewing among rival managers as they watch their own influence vanish. Wealthy titans and giant conglomerates poured millions of dollars into their individual organizations, certain they would effortlessly capitalize on the league's explosive surge in global fame. Now, these elites are spiraling into madness as they witness the Indiana fever cold-bloodedly hijacking the entire cultural spotlight and dominating every news cycle, staggering jersey profits, plus those gold mine brand deals. Once whispers leaked that top-tier athletes of Cunningham's status were plotting behind closed doors to migrate toward Indianapolis just to team up with Hull and Clark, livid competitors reportedly bombarded the league's headquarters with heated outcries and scathing formal protests. They vehemently claimed the entire structured landscape is shattered beyond repair if a humble Midwestern club can instantly command the overwhelming star power seen by the Lakers during their most legendary eras. Rumblings from extremely reliable sources now suggest that a few small-minded, resentful management teams are currently plotting spiteful, vengeful tactics.